NFC Championship game as we do see we do see the Lions and the 49ers duke it out in a really great game to watch. Lions go up 24-7, blow the 17-point lead. Niners win 34-31. Let's get into this one because the Lions came out swinging for the fences. I'm over there on Twitter like, this feels a lot like when the Bengals made their run to the Super Bowl. It's too early, but the Lions had over 180 rushing yards in the first half. They were averaging 7 yards per carry in the first half, 6.5 yards per play in the first half, 3 rushing touchdowns against that San Francisco 49ers defense. That's impressive. If that doesn't scream that they are pushing to get to the Super Bowl with the attitude that they have, I don't know what will. The Lions were very impressive to start this game off. I mean, they just came out showing that they wanted to win this game. The run game was absolutely crazy, as I just said. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just punching San Francisco's defensive line up the middle every second they could. They went right down the field and they scored with Jameson Williams. And I was happy to see Jameson Williams get a couple touches in this game. I know we could have done more on the receiving end, but I thought the game plan out of the gates was very solid for Jameson Williams, and he was one of my favorite players coming into the draft a couple years back as well. And you even, saw starting off Brock Purdy. I'm not going to say that he was bad in the first half, but he wasn't, great. He wasn't very good, but I think he did enough despite them being down how they were at halftime. Brock Purdy did enough to keep them in that game. Brock Purdy ended up finishing the game 20-31, 267, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We saw him scramble 51 yards on 4 carries. That doesn't include the kneel down, which lost him yardage at the end of the game when they were in victory formation. But the Niners just had the halftime adjustments. Again, a 17-point third quarter lead erased. 17-point deficit erased in 8 minutes of game time, and they let up 1 touchdown the rest of the way, which happened in the fourth quarter when the Lions went for it on 4th down for the 3rd time in the game. Their comeback in 8 minutes of 17 points was the 3rd shortest span from erasing that big of a deficit in a playoff game and the fastest by a team that went on to win. What does that tell us? Whether it was the Lions giving it away, which I think it was more of that than the Niners winning it, people said that Purdy and Shanahan can't play from behind. This Niners team was not built to come from behind and win because Brock Purdy is good. He can be very good, but is he special? Is he elite? Is he a Mahomes? Is he a potential Lamar Jackson when he's, really with his highlight plays? Is he a Josh Allen? No. But is he a textbook quarterback that's going to do his job day in and day out? Yes. And that's why some people thought that the Niners weren't able to come from behind and win. And they want to use that 3-game skid of when Trent Williams and Debo were hurt. Oh, look, Brock Purdy can't do it without everybody. You show me a quarterback that can lose their left tackle and also turn around and lose their number 1 receiver and play and possibly try to make something happen, because it's very hard. And I'll be here to tell you, it's not going to be damn near impossible. That's going to be tough for a lot of quarterbacks not named maybe Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady and maybe Peyton Manning, some of the greats that are out there. The Niners' first 5 drives of the game, 7 points. Next 3 drives, 17 points. A 27-7 run to win the NFC Championship game. And Brock Purdy breaking out the mobility, some gutsy scrambles here. He did take 2 bad sacks in the fourth quarter with some great protection. I didn't really care for that, but he had another scramble late in the fourth quarter to convert 3rd down. Did anybody expect Brock Purdy to have over 50 rushing yards in this game? Because I know I sure as hell didn't. When I saw Brock Purdy being gutsy like that, busting through the line, 1 read, 2 read, and go, I was like, wow, this kid is possibly adding another element to his game that we haven't seen before. And I think after a game like this, Brock Purdy stepping up big when he needs to in the Packers game, Brock Purdy stepping up big in the NFC Championship game, getting that redemption from last year, and now being in the Super Bowl, he's showing that he can be trusted. Now, yes, you might have to have all the right pieces around him, which, again, show me a quarterback that doesn't have their production fall off when their star players aren't around them. But Brock Purdy, to me, right now, is trustable. I'm not going to give you my Super Bowl pick yet. We got about a week and a half before that. I'm going to do a breakdown, top players, and all that. But just know that Brock Purdy showed that if he's down by 17, he can do what it takes, turnovers or not, because we see some teams get breaks with turnovers and they still don't make it happen, or have red zone drives and they still don't make it happen. Not Brock Purdy, though. Not Brock Purdy in his second full year as a starter. First full year as a starter, technically, excuse me. Full year. as a starter. NFC Championship game win, 17-point deficit overcame with his team, and they are in the Super Bowl. And to know that a lot of people thought this game was over. I mean, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson waving bye to the Niners fans. I think that comes back on him, and we know the squabble him and Deebo Samuel had, over on social media, calling Deebo a running back, this, that, and the third. But now, when they were previously winless from trailing by 5 or more points in the fourth quarter, they were 0-35 under Kyle Shanahan when they trailed, Kyle Shanahan, 0-35 when trailing by 5 points or more in the fourth quarter. Now they have won the last 2 games in that similar situation. But let's get to the elephant in the room about this game. Let's get into Dan Campbell's aggression with the fourth down tries, and everyone's going on and on about it. That's my coach. That's how we got there. I'm standing on business. I'm not going to take anything back. Okay, that's fine. But are you in the Super Bowl? No. Did you coach better than the Niners and Shanahan? No. Did you hold your 17-point lead? No. And I understand Jahmyr Gibbs did fumble, just to go back before we get into Dan Campbell's things here. I understand Jahmyr Gibbs did fumble. He's a rookie. It's his first his first NFC Championship game, his third playoff game. Great rookie season, but things happen. Veteran comes in, pops the ball out. We know Jahmyr Gibbs is a star player, and he's probably going to be a top 5 running back next year if he's not already because of his speed and versatility. But let's get into Dan Campbell's fourth down tries. The Lions were 1 for 3 on fourth down in this game. And the first fourth down that I recall, it's the fourth down at the end of the half. Let's kind of go, why am I not able to come up with that word? Chronologically. There we go. Let's go chronologically here. I don't think that was the word I was trying to use earlier, but either way. End of the first half. You're up 21-7. You kick the field goal about 3 yards away from the end zone to go up 24-7. If your philosophy is for the whole year that I'm aggressive, I go for it more than on the fourth down than anyone else in the league, this is how we got here, then put your damn foot on the San Francisco 49ers neck at the end of the first half in their house and make them sweat it out in the halftime break. I'm not saying the 17 points wasn't good enough. But if you're going to turn around and have your fans turn around and say that this is why we're here, this is our identity, send it the whole way. Go for it at the end. I respect the fact that the Lions took the points, and I think that it's the smart thing, but I wish they would have taken the points on the next 2 fourth down tries that they didn't convert on. Josh Reynolds drops a fourth down pass that hit him in the numbers, and then Jared Goff misses a throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown on the second fourth down try. I'll give Dan Campbell the grace of Josh Reynolds dropping the ball because that was a perfectly drawn up play. I mean, Goff could not have hit him any better. Literally bounced off the numbers. Goff did his job. Campbell, Ben Johnson, they did their job, and Josh Reynolds just came up short. But no matter what happened and how those plays played out, it is a fact that the Niners scored on the following drives after both failed fourth down attempts, and it felt like all the momentum was with the San Francisco 49ers. Why not kick the field goal in that fourth down attempt to tie the game at 27? You're in the NFC Championship game. You've never made the Super Bowl. You've had an amazing season, multiple playoff wins. You had momentum until it swung to the 49ers, turnover on downs, touchdown, Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, touchdown again. And that really felt like all the momentum was back in the 49ers' favor. And that's why I'll stand on the fact that they should have went for that touchdown to really put the foot on their neck, to really take the momentum out of Levi's Stadium and really put it in the favor of the Detroit Lions. They already had the momentum on their side, but that would have been something to really drive the point home even more. If your whole claim is this is my coach, this is how we got here, exercise your aggression at the end of that first half and go up by 21 points. Do that. But you also have to realize that, yes, I talked about the identity with the Ravens, so I'll apply the same logic here. You don't do things differently if that's the identity and core of your team. But in the same breath, you have to play smart situational football. I'm not going to sit here and still call the Lions a Cinderella team because they played great. But also, you have to play smarter football. You have to take those points, Dan Campbell. That's 6 points off the board. You have been up and up and up, and you choose not to make the right decision. And people can say whatever they want, but if I'm a Lions fan, I'm looking at those 2 calls today. No matter how much I love my coach, no matter how much I love this roster, no matter how much I appreciated this season, you make those 2 calls. You fight temptation twice. You already did it in the first half, and that's what kind of messed me up. Is okay, he was smart. He took the points. Wow. Dan Campbell on 4th and goal from the 3, and he took the points. But not the next 2 times. Now, of course, they go for it on 4th down at the end of the game, and they get the touchdown, and that's respectable. Nice throw from Jared Goff. But I hate to see games lost in big-time moments on bad situationally coached football. And that's what it was. Now, we know Dan Campbell, he's in his, still in some of his first seasons as a head coach. Got no problem with that. This is going to be a growing moment. This is going to be something that they think about and probably they talk about in the offseason. They're still going to bite kneecaps. They're still going to smile at you when you punch them in the face and they get back up, like everything Dan said in the presser when he first got hired. But I think there's going to be a little bit of differences here. I think the situational football they're going to find themselves in the next year and the following year, especially when you're in the postseason, you're in the NFC Championship game. It'd be different if you were a 9-8 team, you snuck into the wild card because 3 other teams lost in week 18. No. You were a really good football team this year, and people expected you to be. So why piss it away on calls like that when you could have had the easy 6 points? Of course, it's not a guarantee that the kicker makes it, but it just feels like an unforgivable decision from Dan Campbell for Lions fans that have been waiting for this moment for 32 years. Now, again, I will say the Lions choked this one away more than the Niners won it. The play where the defender has the ball pop off his face mask and Brandon Ayuk makes a crazy catch kind of reminded me of the prayer at Jordan-Hare with Georgia and Auburn. And he makes a 51-yard reception. Yes, that's going to forever live rent-free in the Lions fans' head because all he has to do is intercept the ball or at least bat it down. I'm not going to fault the guy for making a play. I will say it's also DPI as well because we see him pull him back and then get ahead of him. But Jahmyr Gibbs fumbling as well. That's going to be the Lions giving them the ball back. The failed 4th down tries, giving the Niners the ball back. And even the Niners looking shaky to start off these first 2 games. It stresses me out for Lions fans because being a Saints fan, I can relate. We've been way more bad than we've been good in the history of our franchises. The 2 of us, probably the 2 of the biggest laughingstocks of the NFL up until recent memory, right? And to know that the Niners were very shaky to start this game as well, and you could have really put them out of it. Up 21 at halftime in the NFC title game, just keep pounding the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. Keep pounding the ball with David Montgomery. I think the Lions' offense was solid nonetheless. Jared Goff looked solid. The running game was good. Laporta as well. Jameson Williams got some touches. So the Lions have a bright future. There's no doubt about that. But they're going to have to sit with this one. They're going to have to think on this one because this is going to be one that they're going to look back on and say, we definitely should have done that. They're already saying it now. And again, the NFL, linear was the word I was looking for earlier. The NFL is not linear. The NFL is not a linear league at all. You're not going to go from wild card to divisional to conference championship. It's not guaranteed that the Lions are going to be back here next year. Now, it's very good that the Lions kept Ben Johnson. That's a saving grace. He told the Seahawks and the Commanders, I'm staying here. And I have a lot of respect for that. Because the NFL now, as you get a good coordinator for a year or 2, they're going to go get a head coaching job. And rightfully so for those coordinators moving out. But I believe Ben Johnson did not want to follow in those same footsteps, at least yet, because he knows how close he was. So shout out to the Niners in the Super Bowl. Chiefs at Niners in the Super Bowl in about a week and a half.